Hi, I'm Tiffany Oshinsky, and this is Serving Pancakes with League One Volleyball. The inaugural Love season is just around the corner, so we're talking with some of the amazing people in the league to introduce you to the players on the court and coaches and others involved off the court. To close out 2024, we get 2 for 1 in today's episode. Love Austin middle blocker Molly McCage and love Atlanta setter Madi Bugg. Growing up in Spring, Texas, Molly stayed close to home by taking her talents to the University of Texas, where she earned 3 All-American designations and helped lead the Longhorns to a national title in 2012. She's played professionally since 2016, both abroad in Germany and here in the States, and now will be joining many Texas alums on Love Austin. Madi grew up in Apex, North Carolina, but went across the country to play collegiately at Stanford, where she was a 3-time All-American. She played professionally abroad in Switzerland, Germany, Italy, Poland, and France, and now she'll be playing close to home for Love Atlanta. Molly, Madi, welcome to Serving Pancakes. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So I have to start because I know that you two are friends. That was part of the reason why we wanted you on the podcast together. When did the friendship begin? How did you guys meet?
We were so young. So
yeah.
We both played on the youth national team for USA. And I don't know, we met when we were 15, 16 at one of the high performance camps. And we ended up being on the same team, on the youth national team. So those trips are awesome because you spend a lot of time together. So we went to Guatemala. How long were we there, Madi?
Felt like years. Everybody on our team got sick. It was a rough go. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
so
it was
abroad too.
That might have been mine too, except Niagara Falls or something. Yeah.
So it was in Guatemala where the friendship was forged?
Yes. Yeah. We'll spare you the details of that trip, but yeah, definitely solidified there.
What was it about each other that really drew you two together as friends?
I think we were both kind of nerdy, and we both love Harry Potter, love to read, things like that. And we both giggle a lot. We just make each other giggle all the time. And I think Molly has the best laugh in the world. So
Aww.
It just makes me laugh harder, and everybody loves to laugh. So
that's so sweet.
I know. Well, Maddie's also hilarious. So I'm sure she hears that laugh all the time because I'm just constantly dying laughing whenever she's around. We always just have a good time. So I think that started at 16 and didn't stop. And so at 16 we met, we played on the youth national team. We went to, she went to Stanford, I went to Texas. And then we actually ended up being on the same team in Germany together in Stuttgart. So that was a super cool thing that we kept saying our younger selves could have never imagined this.
Yeah.
And then
this year.
Yes. Good.
This year we played in AU together, which Molly has played in for 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just we're 30 now. We're double our age of when we met, and we're still doing the same thing together. We
amazing.
have managed to make this keep happening.
I know. Yeah. Please just keep hanging out on the volleyball.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although now you guys are opposites. You guys are on competing teams. Are you guys gonna trash talk and stuff, or you think it's gonna be pretty cordial?
Molly's like a robot at the net. I call her Optimus Prime. She's so serious, and I'm a little more laid back, and so I'll probably make a joke and Molly will pretend not to hear me. But
I think that's also why our friendship works, is that I am such a emotional spaz. On the court I try to be very serious and focused because I am just, my emotions are here all of the time, whereas Maddie's so chill and so calm, and on the court that's exactly what I need from a setter too. It's okay. You're gonna get a kill, it's fine. Also, it's supposed to be fun, right?
Yeah. I used to not be able to set because I was laughing so hard at how high Molly's eyebrows would be getting during transition. I would make eye contact with her as she's going for a slide, and I was I can't set.
It's that serious.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. So what was a moment where you guys were kind of did we just become best friends? Yup. What was that moment?
I think it was, I don't know, Maddie is such a safe personality. Like I always felt like I could have like been myself like around you, even throughout the past 15 years of our lives. And I've changed. We've both changed so much, but I haven't like I've always just been gravitated towards this warm, safe personality that Madi has.
Thanks. I think that like we probably just were standing next to each other and like started being like, "Do you know what's going on? I don't know what's going on," and like I'm so scared right now, like at holiday camp, and then just been like, "Do you like that boy? I think he's cute, whatever," and like neither of us talked to anyone, and I think that's probably how it started, and then it just stayed that way. Not much has changed.
That's so funny. Well, the holidays are coming up. Do you guys exchange gifts?
No,
Oh,
we're not really
Really?
big gift people, but we have been sharing books more recently, which has been fun.
I was going
yeah.
to say not even like a book exchange, but there you go.
Yeah. Well, Molly reads at her own pace.
Okay, I go in phases. Okay, I
Did
am.
you finish? Did you finish the Tale of, or what is it? Two
Yes.
Crowns? You
Yeah, it was
did?
amazing,
Oh,
and I'm
everyone's
giving it
reading
to a
that
teammate.
book.
Yeah,
It's so good. The
it's so
duology.
good.
Yeah.
Yes, love it.
Highly recommend.
Right. So I think like podcasts, music, books, we like share that and instead of like tangible gifts. You know what I mean?
We also both live in suitcases, so like it's just like Christmas is so hard for me. I'm like, please don't give me stuff. Like I have
Gives me
two
anxiety.
suitcases and that's it.
Yeah.
That's all you can handle. Well, now you're here in the States. You're playing with League One, back in Austin, back like in Atlanta. You guys have played professionally overseas and, here also in the States. But I'm just curious, like, what have you noticed is the difference between those other teams and leagues and countries versus League One and how this team is operating and this league is operating?
I think there's been, I mean, each league that I've played in has just been so different from each other. And a lot of that's to do with just the culture of wherever you're playing, like, obviously dictates a lot about your experience. Um, I've been telling, like, I had dinner with my parents 2 nights ago. I have a little bit of jet lag. I don't really know where I am, but and I was telling them I was like my like anxiety, like my low level anxiety that was just always there overseas, which I think is important to experience as a human, like being uncomfortable and needing help from other people and learning about another place. But that like little buzz kind of every time I'd have to leave the house is not there. And like my brain feels a little quieter just being home. And that's really, really nice.
That's a really good point. I went to Texas. I've like lived in Austin before, but I haven't lived here since I graduated from college. So it's been a long time. I've lived overseas and in the US, but not in Austin. So the city has changed for sure, but I totally agree with that sentiment of like I'm very comfortable. Like and I can focus on all of the things that bring me joy during practice because there's just not my outside life is just like super chill, and I have friends outside of the volleyball team and I have friends on the volleyball team, like I'm able to have a life outside of it all, and I know that my identity is not super wrapped up in volleyball. I think I struggled with that a long time while I was playing overseas, and it just felt like the one thing I was here to do was just to play volleyball, and I know that our impact is so much larger than that, and it feels even bigger now because I'm able to connect with fans, or it's still wild. I'm gonna like kind of sound cocky right now, but I don't mean to. I got recognized in the grocery store the other day.
Aw, that's so
It
cool.
was so cool. And they were like, no, we remember
Well,
you
you
from
are
Texas.
famous.
I'm not famous. And like, I haven't been in this city for so long, but they recognized me playing at Texas. And then now they're like, we're so excited we bought season tickets. Like that kind of moment is
amazing.
really cool to have. And I haven't really shared that much like in any other city I've lived in.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Maddie,
Special.
you're in Atlanta. Were you familiar with the city at all, or is this kind of like a new journey for you too? Even though, because you're in the States, but it's a different city, different location.
My family lives in Charlotte now. My brother and sister got jobs there after college. And so I went to high school in Raleigh. So my parents are both retired and we're like, we want to be where our kids are. So it's really convenient for me now because it's 4 hours from Atlanta. I got to be home for Thanksgiving for the first time in 13 years. That was
Wow.
like really special. And we did nothing, which was even better.
Yes.
But I knew Atlanta. I mean, I had like Big South, the qualifier was always in Atlanta, and I have multiple cousins that live in Atlanta. I have a really big family. Actually, I'm gonna have 65 people at our like the weekend that we're hosting, January 31st and February 1st. I think we have a whole section. Like
Wow.
my dad
The
has
bug
been
section.
emailing. Yeah, it's like the Bugs and then the cousins of the Bugs and yeah, we're gonna be a whole unit. And it's yeah, I'm just I don't know, I never like even knew that I could want that, um, which is really nice. Um, and we live like north of Atlanta, and so it's nice because we get like a little bit of we actually live on a wildlife reserve.
Oh, no
I live with
way.
Kelsey Robinson, and so we live on a wildlife reserve, which is really nice, like very peaceful. We're next to a little lake, and then we can go into the city and be city people and do whatever. And it's just nice to have both options. But like going back to what I was saying earlier, like everything just feels easier because I'm home, you know? So whereas like driving 40 minutes to go into the city to do something, like see a play or whatever, is a lot more daunting overseas versus here. I'm like, oh, it's Tuesday night. I can do that. No problem.
Well, the season's about to start. First serve is January 8th in Atlanta. Are you
Yeah.
excited?
I'm super excited. We're playing Salt Lake. I'm so ready to start playing. I've been watching all of my friends that are playing in like the leagues in Europe and Brazil and things like that, and I am so jealous they're already playing. I'm like chomping at the bit.
Pretty soon, pretty soon. Molly,
Yeah.
I know that your first game is the day after on January 9th in Houston. Are you going to have family go to that game?
Yeah, I've already had, I don't know the count. I've already had cousins and my family and siblings and stuff be like, okay, like we're getting a whole section. I was just about to say, you're a giant group of people, you should make shirts. There should be like a whole, like,
Yes.
actual
That
uniformed unit.
they did
The
that in
Madi Bugg
college for
Army.
me.
Yes,
And we
yes.
all look exactly the same.
Please do
Yeah.
it.
My dad has a spreadsheet of all the people that are coming.
The family reunion, but at Maddie's game.
Yeah,
That's
my dad was
perfect.
like, "Can you make an appearance at the lunch?" And I was like, "No, it is game day. Like, I cannot.
You're
I'll
like,
see
well,
you
for a small
after."
appearance fee, maybe.
Yeah,
No, I'm just
yeah.
kidding.
Just sign autographs.
No, then you guys get to play each other in week two. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you guys seem very cordial and really like each other. But I got to ask, is there any trash talk coming between you two about which team is going to win?
I'm more of like a make fun of myself than a trash talker kind of person. So,
Yeah, no, I don't have a trash talking personality at all.
no. Molly will just scream the play that she knows I'm running through the net, probably. But like, I'm not trying to surprise her.
Yeah, I also will be like, man, that was a really good play, Maddie. Like I might even like compliment her through the net before I trash talk
Yeah.
her.
All right, well, let's do a deep dive into your volleyball careers so that we can see where you guys began and how we got to where we are today. So let's start with the pretty obvious question, which is how and when did you fall in love with volleyball? So, Molly, why don't you start?
This is the opposite of Maddie's.
I was like, oh, please do.
It was not love at first sight at all. I actually played. I actually played other sports, basketball and track and cheerleading. I'm the youngest of 5, and so I felt like my parents were just like, "Just get them out of the house." Everybody, like in the summers, let's all play sports. All right, here we go. And I mean, I wasn't always the most athletic, but I was fast, and I felt like I could pick up sports pretty easily. But volleyball, I could not. Like I was really struggling. I was really bad, and I made the B team in 7th grade. And I begged my parents, like, please don't take me to practice. Like, this is awful. And I'm embarrassed.
She has a lot of limbs to deal with.
Yeah, right. Like, I couldn't run normally until I was, like, in college. So I made a club team, the first team in, like, the A team or whatever in club. And I was 14. And I didn't play all year. because I had so much to learn. But I had a wonderful coach and wonderful teammates that were just like, trust the process. Like, you have all the tools. They're just like not clicking right now, but they will. And slowly, but I honestly think that the reason why I love this sport has always been because of the people. And like, of course, the game itself, like, it's such a fun team-based sport, but like, it's so funny that it took me a long time to get over the hump of, you know, you're not going to be perfect. And I'm still very much not perfect at this
I was
sport.
like, how'd you do that?
I talk to a therapist now. But yeah, that's my key there. So it's, I have since like fallen in love with the sport. Obviously, I'm still playing at age 30, but there also was a time at 25 that I was like, maybe this is too much volleyball in my life. And then I came back to it again and was like, no, this is truly such a wonderful community, and it gives me so much. And the corporate life, I'm truly not ready for. So this is the best job I've ever had. So I'm going to hold on to this for as long as I can because it's truly amazing.
How about you, Maddie?
Well, the first time I was on a plane, I was 6 weeks old going to my mom's tournament because my mom was a coach. When I was born, her and my dad were running a club called North Dallas Juniors, and she's coached my whole childhood, and she just retired a couple of years ago. So I just I grew up like I wanted to be cool like the girls that my mom coached, and I would like ride around in the ball cart and hand my mom balls. And every timeout, I'd like try to serve the ball over the net. I was like the timeout entertainment. My dad never forced me. I forced my dad to pepper with me for hours and hours and hours. He's a saint for that. And then I think I joined a team for the first time I was 10, and my mom was the coach, and I was so skinny, and I was the only one that could set because I had just seen people set, so I knew what to do, but I couldn't push the ball all the way out to the pin. No 10-year-old can. And my mom just like would not accept that. She was like, it has to get out there. Like, the ball has to go. And I was like, I don't know how long it's going to be with me playing for my mom, but I do like volleyball. But she coached me for 3 years after that. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, she coached me my first 2 years, and then, or wait, no, it was 1 year and then my two first 18th years.
Okay.
But yeah, it was just like always there. I loved it. I've always felt the most myself on the court. I don't know how many jobs can make you like scream and cry and laugh, feel like you're on top of the world, feel like the worst person ever. Like, you just get the full spectrum of everything that emotions have to offer. And although sometimes painful, like, that's such a gift.
Mm-hmm. Well, congrats to your mom for retiring recently. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
super long career, because I saw she was a 3-time All-American at Tennessee, right?
She's a legend.
I don't remember how many times, but she's had 2 blocking records, and one of them has been broken, but I think she still holds one record. She's in the Hall of Fame at the University of Tennessee. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Badass mom right there. I feel like a lot of the girls that I've interviewed have moms who are just like amazing women who have inspired them to like be great, which is why you guys are also playing professional volleyball and still kicking ass. But I'm just like so amazed by all the moms in this like world. Did you ever take your mom's career as like a volleyball player, coach, and kind of use that as inspiration or competition? You know, like, I want to be better than my mom, or was it kind of just more?
Well, we
just
were
helping
different
me?
positions, so it was easier to not compare. Don't tell everybody in the league, but I'm not the world's best blocker, and my mom's just like naturally a really good blocker, and my mom can't set at all. So I actually think I got my ability to set from my dad. He played a lot of like grass and beach and stuff. But no, it was never like competition or anything. I mean, I was grateful to my mom, and I like loved hearing all her stories about, because she was like that first generation that benefited from Title IX. And so I loved hearing all those stories and the horror stories that happened, because there were a lot. Um, but yeah, I got emotional talking about this the other day, because I was like, obviously this is the first year of this league, and there's things that are going to change and get better, and there are things that are perfect now, but like it's the first time that I really, really relate to my mom, where I'm like, oh, this is how it must have felt for you, like starting in college, because college was like a paved path for us. Like, it was hard because the job is hard, but it wasn't hard because we were creating it. And I think their version of college is how maybe we're experiencing the beginning of this league.
Right.
And like establishing something that will go on for generations. And that definitely makes me emotional. I'm very grateful.
Yeah, you should be excited about that, being like the first faces of the league, you know, and getting recognized in the grocery store in Texas, right? I mean, it's all stepping stones, all exciting things. Now, Molly, because you started so late in volleyball, I feel like, you know, I've talked about this with some of the other girls, how there's kind of like this stigma sometimes with youth sports, where if you are not, you know, playing a sport since you're like 6 or 8, that some girls don't want to, boys and girls are afraid to kind of jump into a new sport at a later age. Did you ever feel that way?
Yeah, of course, of course. I think the devil of comparison was so prevalent at that age, and I feel like it might be getting worse too, because club, like, you know, it's so normal for players to start at 9, 10 years old, and then be on the top teams, and then be recognized, and then they just like stay on the top. So like squeeze your way into the top is so hard, or you have to be like 6'8", and then you'll be on the top. But that's not gifted to everybody.
Literally.
Yes. And I don't think that we should commit ourselves to one sport. I don't think we should commit ourselves to one position. I think that's crazy. Like, to be more athletic, man, I wish that I played more positions. Nobody wants to play middle. I know that there's a middle shortage in youth volleyball right now, but I just feel like to pigeonhole yourself at like such a young age, and to compare yourself to other people's stages of where they are in volleyball is ludicrous. Like, I actually think it still applies to, you know, at age 30. Like, there are moms coming back after 3 years who are good, if not better than they were before. Like, there's no age limit to, like, sure, maybe you're not playing volleyball at 55. You know, that's not happening. But, like, there is maybe, you know,
Yet.
grass or beach. Yeah, yet. Karch, how old was Karch? I mean, he was good for a very, very long time. So, I don't know. But, you know, at 15, 16, people are like, oh, it's too late to try volleyball. I'm like, that's crazy talk. Like, I just feel like you can pick this. I know so many, especially on the boys' side, so many athletes that were like, no, I just picked this up my senior year and thought it was super fun, and now I'm a national champion at UCI. Like, I'm just like, wait, what? Like, that's insane to me, because in girls volleyball, it's like so structured. You go to nationals and you try to get an open bid, and it's like, this is your entire life. And then it like truly doesn't have to be that serious. You can try other sports. You can also love other sports and continue playing them. Like, volleyball shouldn't be your entire life, because that is not sustainable. We've tried. And there is no time limit to this, and to falling in love with volleyball and being good at it.
So obviously you two were very good at this sport. So can you talk about how you guys ended up on the U.S. youth national team and what that experience was like?
So after the first like big tryout, and like once your name is like kind of in the system, like you start getting asked, if you do well, like they ask you to come back for like the next camp. And so then it's that part was really fun, like 2 or 3 years down the line, because you're like seeing this group of friends that you don't get to see very often. And like I mean, you're playing a lot of volleyball, but you're also like playing cards and just hanging out, eating massive amounts of spaghetti at the lunch hall and stuff. But and like trying to find Michael Phelps.
Yes. Annoying him.
But yeah, poor guy. But
Did you ever find him?
Yeah, we saw him a couple times.
He was really annoyed.
But I mean, I don't
Memories.
blame him at all.
Yeah.
He's like
We were
super
annoying.
serious. He's eating like 8,000 calories just so he can swim for 7 hours every day. And the kids in the lunchroom are like, look. Yeah, it was just like a one tryout. I don't know if my mom found it or my club coach said something. Do you remember how yours started?
I am pretty sure my club coach suggested it to my mom, and my mom was like, "Oh, that sounds like something serious. Like she needs to do that." And like my mom, like nobody in my family played volleyball. Like we were all just guessing at what happens next. And there was like in Dallas, so about 4 hours away from home, there was like a region tryout, right? And so I went there. My mom and I drove there, and it was like a couple hours long, but I remember like pinning the paper number to your shirt, your cotton
Yes.
shirt, and I remember hitting some slides, and they were like, "That looks weird, but it works," and and I just kept getting invited to things, and it was the coolest thing ever because my high school team was fun. We weren't very good. My club team in Houston at the time, like club teams were like folding and then popping up and then folding. So there was never like a stagnant like team that you're part of or a club. So it was really hard to like get really solid coaching and have really high level teammates. You know, I did have awesome coaches, but the coaches at that level were just so experienced. And I felt like I learned so much. And then also like just to play with other high level athletes at that age, like totally accelerates your skill set. So I wouldn't have known unless my club coach said something to my mom. My mom was like, "Oh, okay, that's like how she gets recruited because there's this thing you get recruited for college and you can get free college somehow, which sounds nice to us." So I was like, "Yeah, sure. Let's try it."
So then, I mean, obviously having the U.S. national team on your resume helped to get into college, but what made you each decide to go to Stanford and Texas, respectively?
So I'm from Houston, obviously, Austin, super close. I went on a visit because it's easy to get there, and I actually did not love it at first. I was so scared and intimidated by those athletes, and was like, surely I can't go here. And so I actually grew up in Indiana, like a suburb of Chicago, and my sister went to IU, and so I adore my sister and looked up to her. So I was like, I want to go to IU because she did. And it's a lovely campus. The coaches were great, but you know, after so many conversations with my club coaches and my mom and my dad, it was like, no, but like you're kind of good at this volleyball thing. And if Texas were looking at you, like you should go because it's pretty awesome. And I committed my sophomore year, which is way too early. I'm so happy that you can't do that now because it was crazy. Nobody else in my class had committed at that time either. So I was just like, I don't know, I'm blessed to be here, so let's do it. It ended up being awesome, obviously, but that was a wild gamble, and I'm so happy that I came in with the class that I did. Like, we're still so close. Like, I'm hanging out with one of them later today. Like, for me, it was about the people, and of course, I wanted to go to a school that was in the runnings, but hadn't won yet. That was one thing I was like, you know, Texas has... I want to like do this in spite of everybody. No, but yeah, it was like they were on the cusp, and then my freshman year we won, and that is wild to just hop into a program and then be like, well, we won, like look at what we did, guys, and it's like generations of work just to get to that national championship. So it definitely wasn't my little freshman self coming in, but I really loved my time at Texas. It was great.
You were a pretty big part of that national championship. Don't undersell it.
Thanks. I was a little wee freshman.
We held it together.
Yeah, I didn't cry on the court. So
Yeah.
Until we won.
Yeah. Yeah.
Aw. What about you, Maddie? What made you choose Stanford?
We were living in New Hampshire at the time, and my mom was coaching a high school team, and she took them to go see, I think it was Boston College, play a preseason match against Stanford, and Stanford won the match. So I think I was 11, and I was like, oh, I want to go to Stanford. I didn't even know, I don't know, I think I barely knew where California was, and I didn't really know what college volleyball was or what college was. But then I just like kept saying it, and everybody was very impressed whenever I would say it. And I was
Oh,
like, oh, I think this is a good thing. I should do this.
sweet.
And then I remember we moved to North Carolina, and I played with a lot of the same girls for a bunch of years. And my libero was one of my closest friends, and I always said like I was going to go to Stanford, and she wanted to go to Tennessee, and or no, she wanted to go to UNC, and she was like, Maddie, I Googled Stanford last night. Do you know where it is? It is all the way across the country. And I was like, really? So, yeah, I was just playing, and then I just kept telling people that. But it was like manifest. I mean, I definitely like worked hard in school and like worked hard at volleyball and stuff, but I think there was some manifesting, definitely a lot of luck. Um, and I I like visited a couple colleges. I really loved UW. I really loved Florida. Um, I like Texas, but they wanted Chloe Collins, which I understand because I also love Chloe Collins. I was so jealous when Molly and Chloe were going to school together. But I visited Stanford and I was like, oh, this just like feels right. This feels like where I belong.
Logan Tom went to Stanford, didn't she?
She did.
Yeah,
Yes.
she was like my inspiration when I was growing up. Like Logan Tom was my,
She's,
what I wanted to be. But I'm 5'3", so there's no way was I actually going to be like her position or anything
I
like that.
mean,
But just
she was amazing. And
Yeah.
like, actually, I got to, obviously, I didn't play with her, but I got to kind of play with her in this like movie that we were in China. It was about the
you
Chinese
did a
national
movie?
team.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This is my fun fact. Anytime that I'm like need to introduce myself in a circle and you have to do that like icebreaker.
Two truths and a lie type of thing.
Yeah. I was a stunt double in a movie in China. It was about their national team and Jenny Ling Ping, and they were like recreating scenes from the Olympics in Beijing, and they needed volleyball players. They wanted Logan Tom, and then I basically was just setting balls for her to hit, and they were filming it. Um, but we spent 2 weeks in China, and I mean, we filmed for most of the time. It was actually exhausting. Um, but just getting to talk to her about volleyball was really, really cool. I was trying to play it cool, but I was like,
Fangirl.
yeah, so
That's
crazy.
so cool. That's
Yeah,
such
the
a fun
places
fact.
that volleyball has taken me.
Well, speaking of the places that has taken you, you both then obviously went professional. So what made you decide to take that next step?
I also wasn't fully aware that pro volleyball was a thing until like my senior year. I felt like it was like not taught, or like people would graduate and I was like, where'd she go? It'd be like some obscure country. It was like, what?
Yeah,
And there are so many Texas alumni. As you know, 9 of them are on this team right now.
we're aware.
Yeah. Many Longhorns continue playing after college. So
Yeah.
I didn't think about it for a long time. And then after I finished, I was like, what? How do I get over there? I have to like find an agent, and I don't know. I absolutely adore playing professional volleyball in the US, and I want to until I retire. But I think that coming right out of college, especially such a school like Texas, like we get a lot of things handed to us. We have a ton of money at that school. We have so many resources. We have so many people on staff just helping you do this one thing. Like it's crazy and it's amazing. That transition from college to pro, I think, is necessary for you to like mature as a volleyball player. Professionally, living overseas. Being a foreigner at one point, I think, is really important in your life, like Maddie was saying earlier.
Yeah.
And just getting uncomfortable and playing a new style of volleyball. You were known as this kind of hitter in college, but then that's not what this team needs, so you have to change and be this kind of hitter. Just being adaptable, and then finding out about yourself. Like, who are the people that you gravitate towards? Like, what do you want to do outside of volleyball? Like, there's so many things that you have to answer whenever you go overseas that I think this comfortable life, I almost feel like we like earned it, Maddie. It's like,
Yeah.
Maddie for sure. I didn't
I'm
play
so
professionally
kidding
as
that.
long. Yeah. But I think this is such a comfortable life, And we now appreciate it so much more because it's not like we lived a terrible life overseas, but it's uncomfortable.
I echo that. Like I don't want this to sound the wrong way, but like in going to Stanford, I felt like I needed to do something monumental after college. I needed to like change people's lives and um, like be of service in a big way. And I was kind of scared to say that I wanted to play or like keep playing. Um, and it wasn't like, I mean, we had social media obviously in college, but it was not to the degree that it is now. And playing pro was not as common as it is now. Um, so everything was like a text of like, hey, can I maybe get your agent's email? I don't even know what an agent does, but like, I'm gonna send an email. But like, I was scared to say that I wanted to do that and not like pursue something of great importance to the world. And um, actually, I had a boyfriend at the time, and he was like, "You love this. Like, you are obsessed with this. You like, why would you not chase the thing that you love the most in the world?" And it was almost like everyone around me was more excited and more like sure of my choice than I was. Um, and then I went overseas. I went to Switzerland my first year and was like, what is, I don't think this is what it's supposed to be like. I'm so confused. And I always tell people to play 2 years. Like, your first year is really hard. Like, no matter what, you could have the best club in the world, but it's going to be really, really hard because it's so different. You're not as good as you think you are. And like the learning curve is steep and it's a really long season. The season's 9 months overseas. So always play two. That's my advice to the general people watching. But yeah, that was kind of how I got into it. And then I was like, okay, I'll play one more year. And here we are 9 years later.
Just couldn't stop.
Yeah.
So after all these years of playing professionally, going overseas, playing here in the States, all that, what made you two ultimately decide to join Love?
I mean, I'll be honest, like I really wanted to stay in Europe because I I had like I'd played enough years where I had friends everywhere now and I had found like my groove and I felt like I had really climbed the ladder and um like earned my name in Europe, which I'm not saying that I was like this rock star or something, but I like felt very
She
proud
is.
of what I did. And thank you, Molly. And I I wanted to like keep going and I was scared that if I came back to the US and this league didn't do well, then I could never go back. And I played with Kelsey Robinson last year and all year she was like, I really want you to be my setter. I really want you to play with me. I think you should really look into this. And so finally in like February or March of last year, I was like, okay, I I was getting like good offers in Europe, but nothing that was like, I'm gonna sign that right away. And League One kept signing these players where I was like, that girl's really good. That girl's really good too. I think this might actually be like a really good league. And then coupled with like everything that Love was doing, all of the surrounding parts of Love, I really agree with. Like the way that they've structured um, the pro teams on top of the club teams and like integrating them together. I love that. It's very European model based. And I like that we have maternity leave and we have Carrot is like this fertility. Um, I don't know what it's called exactly. Support, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
And so like it's like unlimited calls with Carrot and I can talk about freezing my eggs because I want to play for a long time, but I want kids maybe a little bit later. And like all of that was so great. And I was just like, I feel like the world is trying to tell me something. Like I'm supposed to go back to the US. And that's kind of where I ended up in the end.
It's like contract by contract. Like every year you're like,
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going next, but
Do they sign actually, like in Europe, do you get like 2-3 year contracts or no? Is it literally one
You
team
can,
contract?
but more common is 1 year. And then I would say it's more common to get a 1+1 where like both sides have to opt in
Gotcha.
than like a 2 year or something like that.
Yeah. So I've had a weird path. Like I retired at 25 and tried to get normal corporate jobs and found out those were not as fun. And then Jordan Larson just DM'd me on Instagram and was like, would you play volleyball in the United States? And I was like, that's not a thing. That can't happen. And this was Athletes Unlimited at the time. And I've played with them now for 4 seasons. I've also worked for them in different capacities. I was full-time this time last year. And all this buzz of like professional volleyball in the US was happening, you know. And I'd been working with AU in the other sports as well. So basketball, softball, lacrosse, and obviously playing volleyball. And I loved my job, honestly. I had wonderful benefits. I had wonderful coworkers. My boss was truly amazing. I knew that I had a special workplace that not many women have in the corporate world. And I was also working in sports, and it's like, you know, obviously we can all see the rise of women's sports right now, and it's awesome. But I'm an athlete, and I can only be an athlete for so long. And like to come back to Austin, to play with former teammates. I also played at Austin Juniors my 18s year. So my parents and I were crazy enough to drive 2.5 hours to Austin every Sunday.
Wow.
To practice, with Austin Juniors, because the coaches there were amazing. And I felt like that was the only way I could prepare for Texas. So now we're quite literally playing and practicing in the gym that I played in as an 18-year-old. And that full circle moment is amazing. Yeah. And I just knew that, like, no, that's the dream job. Like I had, you know, played in different capacities and worked in different capacities for women's sports. And of course I will want to continue working in women's sports post volleyball. And maybe even while I'm playing volleyball, I'll do something. But to be the athlete, I feel like you have the biggest impact still to like have this connection with the clubs, like Madi was saying, this connection to fans. Like the biggest platform you have is while you're the athlete. I'm also just having like too much fun. Like every single day I'm like, this is so cool. Like I get to play with my friends. There is this sense of joy and play every time I practice and get on the court now that like I felt like I didn't allow myself to have at age 25. And so I just want to hold on to that as long as I can. But this offer, and kind of, I'm not from Austin, but it almost feels like I am. Like this very much feels like home. I'm so comfortable here. And it's high level volleyball. Like I'm playing with some people that, like, I still fangirl over Chiaka. Like, even though we went to college together, I'm like, Chi, do you realize how much you've accomplished? Like, this is so freaking cool. And I get to play with her every day. And like, not only is she a really good friend of mine, but like to see her be a 2-time Olympian and then to absolutely like house people. The way that Chi blocks is
scary.
Yeah. It's like hurtful. Like, it's like,
it is.
Oh my God. It's so amazing to play with some of my teammates, or all of my teammates. And we have a good vibe going too. Like that's really special and kind of unheard of. Like I'm hanging out with almost everybody on my team. Sorry, I'll say that.
It's the truth.
You don't always do that.
No, especially like pro. It's very true.
Yeah. No, I just knew it was super special. And I'm really happy that I have this opportunity.
Love it. Well, ladies, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me, for coming on the podcast, and good luck with the new season. We'll see you out there on the court soon.
Thanks, Tiffany.
Thank you.
This is awesome.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
You had great questions, too.
Yeah.
Thanks.
This was great.
Thanks for watching Serving Pancakes. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. You can also listen to the podcast version on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.